Hey guys, another week of the O.P.O.V podcast. What's up?
What's good with you?
Chilling. Busy week, but I got through it. You?
Same. It seemed like it was longer even though we had the holiday. It seemed like it was a long week though, but I got through it.
So really, I kind of want to skip past all the pleasantries because we have breaking news today about Antonio Brown. So I need for you to talk to me about that. I'm really not into sports like that, so I kind of need for you to give me a background on what's happening. If you can give me as much detail as possible, that'd be great.
Well, the Raiders just released it. That just happened. But recently, he was going through a little spat with the general manager because of he got fined for missing a walkthrough whenever they were in training camp.
Okay.
So he got fined for that, and he went on Instagram and posted the fine, which it was a confidential letter. And when they went to practice the next day, Antonio Brown approached the GM about it, and basically he called him a cracker and did everything else as far as cussing him out, telling him he should punch him, and blah, 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 to where people had to break it up. So he got sent home. They was contemplating on just suspending him, but he came back and apologized yesterday to the general manager and to the team, and the captains vouched for him, and he was supposed to be doing good. Turned around and he gets another foul for with the cracker incident and everything like that, which he upset.
But hold on. Can you? I just want to do a timeout for a second. So the cracker comment, that wasn't related to the initial incident?
No, the initial incident, the fine was for him missing.
Okay.
And that's when he got on the thing, and that's the reason why I called him a cracker. But
okay,
so that was still, for HR, the paperwork is still going through for that.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, what the Raiders should have did was let him know, even if he did apologize, that he was still with the fine. So I feel like they did mishandle that. So he might not have knew about that, but after he apologized, he turns around and gets another fine. Now he got both fines averaged to $217,000 or something like that. So it probably ain't the money. That's not that much money for him. So that's probably not the money. It's probably the way they fined him. I'm thinking he thought that everything was gonna be okay. He turns around and gets a letter in his mailbox with another fine, and he's just like, "Forget y'all, release me." The thing about the Raiders is it's not fair to the other people on the team.
Well, wait. So weren't they having issues with him complaining about his helmet too?
That's a totally separate incident. That had nothing to do with the Raiders. It had to do with the NFL.
Okay.
And the NFL's rules to change the helmet. So the Raiders actually, they stood with Antonio Brown on that. They feel like whatever made him comfortable, they would be okay with him griping as far as with the helmet. And then he got injured with his feet too. So a lot of stuff's been going on in the offseason with Antonio Brown. Is he in the wrong? Yeah, but I don't feel like mentally he's all there either. Does he have a point? Yes, but to throw away $30 million, that's something he's gonna look back on for the rest of his life. Like he did this one wrong.
Okay,
even
so
if he blew up, I would say even if he blew up on after week 1 or something like that, it'll be okay because now you got your guarantee money, and you would be okay. They probably wouldn't trade you at that point though either, or release you.
Okay, so fast forward to today. I know that there was an announcement made that he was asking to be released, but there was some issues with that as far as money is concerned. Can you talk about that part?
Basically, they didn't know if they would still have to pay him his $30 million or not. And that was the big thing. The $30 million was hanging over the Raiders' head, and that's the reason why they probably didn't even let him go before he did that to the GM. Well, after he did that to the GM. Because any other player, they probably got released after that.
So I know that in our group text, you guys were talking about something about maybe there being some sort of CTE issue. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, I think mental health played probably a big part in this, and I feel like that he might suffer from some form of CTE. And I don't want to give.
And that's just your opinion, right?
Yeah, that's just my opinion. But the stuff that he's been doing lately don't seem healthy at all. And everybody's just watching the show instead of seeing what's wrong. It looks like you're watching a sick person with a lot of money.
Well, right now I'm kind of, because in my head I'm trying to figure out what's the difference between his antics now versus when he was with the Steelers. I mean, I know I heard of some diva-like behavior when he was with the Steelers. Do you think it's different now, or all of it is a part of?
I think it's just a whole bunch of incidents. I think back then he probably was suffering from it. And again, you talking about LA compared to Pittsburgh. LA, anything, you can't even whisper in LA without it going to the media. Pittsburgh, they probably was able to keep a lot of it under the rug because of the Daily News or whoever, the Post-Gazette or whoever the media is. They probably are in cahoots with the the Steelers organization. But when you go to LA, that's like national media attention. Mm-hmm. So you know what I mean? There's probably there ain't too much you're going to be able to have.
Now, is it possible that this is, because I know in your opinion you say he may be suffering from some PTSD, but could this be that he's just a brat?
30 million though?
I mean,
a lot of boys don't say, even if it is, if you calling the white man the cracker and the devil, what you gonna do is you gonna take his money and then say peace out. You don't make sure that check is gonna be in that account first. So that right there, I don't think he's working with a full deck of cards. I
mean, maybe not, because Antonio Brown is used to money. Like, to somebody like me, listen, I'm only rich in spirit. So I don't know what it's like to have millions of dollars in my account at any given time. So I will probably say, I'm just going to chill and get my money. But for somebody who might be used to having that type of money in their pocket, like...
I don't see too many people that would turn down $15-30 million, like 15 to 30 million. I can't see too many, even if you got $100 million in the bank.
Now at this point, since the news is so new, we don't know if, like, what the Raiders are going to have to pay out. They just allow them to be released.
Yeah, and that's another thing, because it's a distraction to the team. And trust and believe the Raiders organization at this point, their reputation is worth more than 30 million.
Yeah.
So they did say that their ownership, since it is a family ownership, as far as the ownership not being on the richer end of it, I do think that they're going to treat the 30 million like they're going to pursue it and try to keep it. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. The thing that they keep coming down to was his conduct detrimental to the team. Mm-hmm. And if the arbitrator determines that it was, the Raiders will be able to keep their 30 million. If the arbitrator says no, even though he was acting out, there still wasn't any type of harm or any type of wrongdoing to the team, mm-hmm. he gets to keep his 30 million. So, in retrospect, if Antonio Brown wins against the 30 million and he's released,
well,
he's winning.
Antonio Brown, what I need for him to understand is he's still on the plantation. Regardless of how much money you're making, based on your behavior, they don't want the other slaves to start acting up. So they're going to do what they need to do to let you go or set the example so that the other players don't try to form some sort of mutiny. And because I think one of those sportscasters had a valid point, his behavior can have a determination on how the other players might want to handle things going forward. You can't just have your players all running amok.
Well, regardless of like what they were saying too on the sports shows was, this is good for the owners because now the owners could say to the players union, this is why we don't give y'all guaranteed money because of players like this and how they act up. You know what I mean? So imagine if he got his $30 million already and was acting like this, they would be ready to kill that man.
Yeah.
But
or themselves.
But Antonio Brown might not even be feeling the football thing no more. I don't know how much his social media checks are, and I don't know how much he making sponsorships. Like, I don't know that, so I can't sit up here and say he might not really be feeling the football thing. He might want to pursue something else.
Yeah.
You know? So, at this point, I just pray for him that his mental health is there, and do what he has to do to be successful. But other than that, it's still just a game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I ain't tripping. So even if he want to do something to better his life, I can't be mad at that. Certain things we don't understand from the outside looking in. And he might hate that what the white man is trying to do to him. You know what I mean?
Or could it just be, it may not be CTE, it may be like this is the standard that he set for himself, and there's just certain things that he's not going to go for.
And they don't tell him what the Raiders was telling them, man. They could like, yeah, you're not going to get fined. Don't worry about that. Just apologize to the team so we can get on with this. Then he turned around in his mailbox and he got a fine. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So you never know what people tell you. Because at the end of the day, it's just a business, and everybody's trying to do is get to Sunday or Monday for them.
Yeah.
They play on Monday.
And eventually February.
Yeah, which the Raiders wasn't going to do anyway. And that's why I think it's so easy for Antonio Brown to cut his ties with the team, because the goal was for the Raiders or during rebuilding stage.
Now, another question. With everything that has transpired since he's been on the Raiders roster, how hard is it going to be for him to get on another team now?
This Saturday, I don't think he's going to get picked up by the end of today, but I would say by Monday morning he will be on the new team.
That's your prediction?
That's my prediction.
And are you able to give a more detailed prediction as to what team? Can you speculate on what team he may end up with?
Well, I don't know. And if it was a regular player, I would say the Patriots, but it does look like Antonio Brown is money driven. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say the Cowboys.
Why? I don't really know anything about that. From what I hear, the Cowboys aren't doing so well.
No, the Cowboys, they're all right, and they do got their players for the future. Mm-hmm. So I feel like that if they did acquire another receiver that complement the receiver that they do have, it will be golden. Like, I mean, Jerry Jones, he will spend money to play.
He'll spend money. But the Patriots will spend money too. But you think they're already a winning team and they don't really need them type of problems?
No,
that's what they should.
Patriots don't spend that type of money. They're
only on Brady.
They're not going to give him $15 million a year for a receiver.
So do you think he'll end up having the same problem with the Patriots that he did with the Steelers? Like you? Yeah,
they're that type of organization. Mm-hmm. The top guy for the Steelers is making that money, which would be like how Brady and Roethlisberger are making that money. Mm-hmm. But when you start getting into those positions that you can interchange the players, they don't value them like that. Yeah. So I can see him I can't see Antonio Brown compromising to like $8 million a year. If he compromised to like $8 million a year, I think it would be a shoe, and I think the Patriots will get him. But I think he's still going to try to get that $12 to $15 million a year salary, just because that's the whole gripe he had with the Steelers to begin with. He wanted that money.
Now, as far as him in general, what do you how much longer, how many more years do you think he has to play?
Well, I think Antonio Brown, with his work ethic, he could play like 6 more seasons.
Okay.
So I think he's worth every penny on the field.
Okay.
on the field. Off the field, I don't know what he's doing right now. I wouldn't give him a dime because you don't even know if this is stemming out into his public life to where he might get arrested in the next couple of weeks or what. So if I'm a GM, I wouldn't give him the money. And that's just me. But knowing how desperate these teams are to win right now, I could see a GM giving them money.
So they would actually have to weigh up whether or not him being an asset on the field would cancel out his liabilities off the field.
There's few ownerships that care about things like that. A lot of ownerships don't. Even my team, they got some questionable people on their team that where I would have said, me, myself, and I, that they wouldn't be able to part of my organization. You know what I mean? Just the stuff that they do in their when they're at home.
But if you notice it, if you kind of like think about it, it's like that with most companies. I think when it comes to employees, if you're on your grind and you do what you need to do and your productivity is high, then they let a lot of things slide when it comes to other stuff that generally they were like, oh, well, they is getting the job done and they do great and, their numbers is up. So, whatever. Now, if you're the one where your numbers is down, and
trim the fat.
Listen.
Trim the fat.
And you're trying to do some more extra stuff, like coming back late on breaks all the time and whatever. They're like, man, bye.
But he's funny. He's funny because the simple fact is the Steelers kept everything under wraps. Like, I never knew that he was this big of an issue. Like, I never knew that. Like, even the way stuff ended up, it made it almost paint a picture like it could have been Roethlisberger's fault. You know what I mean?
So do you think that makes the Steelers, do you think that they look out for their players in that way to where they're making sure that some of their antics are not leaked out? And do you think that makes them one of the better organizations because of that?
100%. 100. And I'm not even a Steeler fan. 100%. I love the way their organization is ran. Their coach could probably, and I think he learned his lesson with this last year, how big of a circus was. I think he's going to tighten the belt a little bit. But other than that, other than Tomlin being buddy with the players, I love the way the Steelers run their organization now. Back in the day, I used to question if it was kind of racist. And that's why I really wasn't a Steeler fan, is the way they used to do their black players. But it seems like now they got kind of a good culture going on there.
That's good. So, do you have any final thoughts as far as AB?
Just my prayers is with you, man. And I do. Honestly, if he gets his money, this might be a genius move because sorry, Raider fans, but who wants to play for the Raiders? Sorry, Raiders fans. I apologize, but AB's trying to get his money and probably win. But if he gets his $30 million and signs with another team, he might be the
boss
GOAT.
move.
He might be the GOAT.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm just gonna shut up and see which way this $30 million sway.
Yeah, and one thing that we want to point out is it's Saturday, so you guys probably won't hear this until Tuesday, so we don't know what will transpire by the time you end up hearing this. So,
but other than that, what else is going on?
I think you said you wanted to talk about Kevin Hart.
Okay.
Kevin Hart was in a car accident a few days ago, and I'm definitely wishing a speedy recovery, or praying for a speedy recovery for him and the other two passengers that were in the vehicle. But you had some thoughts about the accident, right?
I really didn't have too many thoughts about it. I just wanted to wish my prayer. Give them prayers to that whole everyone that was in the car. I didn't really have too much to say about it though.
Well, I'm going to preface what I'm going to say with allegedly, because I think there were a couple of things that I read that made me kind of think a little bit about it. I'm not saying it's true or whatever, but one thing I read is that Kevin Hart, one of his bodyguards, took him home and he called 911 from home instead of calling from the scene. Isn't that a little weird?
That's very weird.
So I know there people had their thoughts about that. I know some people speculate that he might have had drugs on him. Some other people speculate maybe he could have been cheating on his wife again. Who knows? But I find that kind of weird. Like because if you look at the car was really yeah. So I don't like for somebody to like not call 911 immediately. If that's the case, that's kind of weird to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even want to touch that because you're right about that. That doesn't sound right at all.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound right at all. I'm giving Kevin Hart the benefit of the doubt just because.
Yeah.
I feel like he's a good guy, and I just want a speedy recovery. Anything else, I guess we can worry about after he becomes healthy.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like overall he seems like a good guy. Good people do some bad things though, or make some bad decisions.
A lot of good guys can't stop loving women. I will say that.
Don't I know?
But at the end of the day, I'm not going to even make that judgment on him. I just want him to have a speedy recovery right now.
Yeah, I just thought those things were kind of interesting. I know those are rumors or whatever at this point, so I don't know. I know I read that somewhere though.
I hope it ain't true either, because that do sound shady regardless, but I don't know. Hopefully all three of the people that was involved both were good. Then there was the innocent little girl who got abducted.
So last week we talked about Nalani Johnson being abducted, and we read a little bit about the story. The father said that the Uber driver had pulled off with his daughter still in the car, and at that point she was missing. Unfortunately, early in the week, after we did last week's recording, Nalani's body was recovered in a park. So she was not recovered alive, which is something that I know on Facebook, like everybody on my timeline was just like super sad about it. And I've really been thinking about everything every day. And it turns out that with the story, based on the news coverage and the press conferences, the father had a somewhat of an intermittent relationship with the lady, and the Uber driver, which I think Uber and Lyft had come out and said that this had nothing to do with them, like she wasn't working. And then the police during the press conference later said
she had a sticker on her car.
Yeah, she had stickers in her car or whatever, but this wasn't like one of her rides. They were kind of like hanging out during the day. So what they also mentioned is that there was some sort of argument that happened, which caused them to, part ways that day. I don't really know anything about the details of the argument, but I do know that they have not charged the Uber driver. Why do I keep calling her Uber driver? That wasn't an Uber trip. They have not charged the driver with homicide as of yet.
Did they charge her with the abduction or no?
I believe so.
Okay.
But what's interesting is Steven Zappala, I was reading on one of those news sites, that's the district attorney for Pittsburgh. He was saying that, like, when it came to the little girl's body, there wasn't like
any foul play. There
wasn't like ligature marks, stuff that suggests that she had been strangled or that she had died due to the elements. So what they believe is that she had already been deceased before she was in the park, before she was put in the park. I think that the one thing that I find interesting is that based on the father lying in the beginning, I'm wondering why he is not under more scrutiny than he is.
Yeah, I would have thought he would have got arrested after he lied, but I don't know. It's gonna all come full circle.
It kind of makes me feel, and I'm not. Maybe the lady is solely responsible for the toddler's death. But it just kind of is like not really sitting right with me that everything is falling on her.
Where's the mom at?
I haven't heard from the mom. Not me personally, but I don't remember reading anything about the mom. She may have made a statement. With this story, I kind of like tried to keep it at arm's length because it was so sad.
Yeah, I kind of went dark off of social media after I found out she passed away because I knew that's what my whole timeline would have been.
Mm-hmm. And my whole timeline was
sad.
that.
Like, yeah, my spirits probably went down most of the week, honestly. But it's just that was before we was talking about what we were talking about today. I kind of forgot about it. Like it was in the back of my head.
At this point, I just hope that the real story comes out sooner than later, because between the father line and then the police saying that the driver of the car has switched up her story a few times, because I know initially they said that she told them that the father sold the daughter for $10,000, which I know last week when we were talking about it, initially reading it, I said it didn't make sense. Still doesn't make sense to me now with all of the stuff that we've heard about it. So I'm just hoping that
if her daughter was already dead, I mean, if his daughter was already dead, I doubt that he would have said that the Uber driver stole her. That's the only thing too. Like, why would he even put that suspicion on her?
Yeah, I mean, I have my thoughts on what happened, but I don't really want to be as irresponsible as to say it like on camera. You know what I mean? But I just hope that we find out the real story sooner than later.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. I'm the immature person if he wants me to ask you what do you think happened.
Oh man, why are you doing that to me?
Because I kind of want to put a wager down on the bet and see, not like a real money wager, but like you say what you think happened, I say what I think.
Okay, say what you think happened, and then I'll say what I think happened.
All right, hold on. I gotta think about everything because I haven't drawn this whole thing out yet. It just it does seem so close, like Casey Anthony said. I know one thing about cases like this. Normally history does repeat itself. So I'm going to go with the dad.
The dad? You think the dad has something to do with the baby?
I will say that.
Okay, so now this is only our theories about what happened. Nobody knows exactly what happened at this point. But because he wants us to compare what we think, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. And let me preface this by saying that I kind of like really want to see the good in people for the most part. So what I was thinking probably happened is that maybe they were kicking it early in the day and they left the baby in the car and the baby died and they panicked and tried to cover it up. Like, I don't necessarily know or feel in my heart of hearts that anybody like really intentionally murdered that baby. Because what would be the game? Like, I mean,
I'm not saying he murdered her on purpose.
Right.
Or killed her on purpose. Dang, man. Yeah, I think you might be right. That's a good theory.
I mean,
this poor situation altogether. Man.
Yeah.
Anyway, anything that it turns out to be, it's not cool.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, like, nobody could say what they would or wouldn't do if they were in that situation. You know what I mean? So
especially if they wasn't even supposed to be messing around.
That, yeah.
Now, do you think something could have happened to her on somebody's dime? Because a lot of times, the parent might leave the kid with. You think he might have left the kid with the Uber driver?
Well, since they said that they had been together for a few hours earlier.
But yeah, they could have been together then. He could have been like, can you watch my daughter for a second?
I don't know, but I'm really hoping that
what
really happened comes out. Cause
okay, I'm switching my story. I think it was the Uber driver's fault. Like, I'm thinking the reason why it was the Uber driver's fault because they was kicking it for a while. he had to dip off, and he said, "Can you watch my daughter?" And that daughter ended up passing away watching. Then she dipped out with the daughter's body, and that's when he panicked and called and said that this Uber driver has my daughter.
Mm. But then wouldn't that...
He did. I don't think he knew that his daughter was dead.
I feel like based on the little bit of information that we know, though, it just seems kind of odd that this driver is taking the full accountability for what happened to this little girl. And I kind of feel like, I feel like she's definitely responsible, but I don't feel like she should be taking... I feel like there's other people who need to take responsibility as well, not just her. She should, but other people too.
Man, I'm not gonna do that to her until everything comes out. So I ain't gonna say that, but that's just my theory of what happened. And I pray for anybody.
And those are my feelings. They could be wrong, I think, but
yeah, I'm not gonna even touch it anymore right now because I don't want to place that blame on her all the way if it does say this.
Well, I feel like the police have already placed the blame all on her. You know what I mean?
But they know more than we do, though.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that they give us more details as to why they did that. Because right now it just seems kind of odd that they're just only charging her. You know what I mean?
And then one thing I learned, I watched a lot of documentaries. One thing I learned is if the police are pressed for that suspect, they're going to charge that suspect.
Yeah. 'Without
looking at the other avenues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I hope they do keep an open mind. They don't just think it's just like her.
Mm-hmm.
Fault, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I don't know, man. This is just a somber subject.
Okay, we can go ahead and move on. We said our piece in regards to that. Prayers for comfort to Nalani's family at this time.
Definitely, for sure. So what else is popping?
What do you think about these Amazon fires? Because last week I kind of like brought it up and you kind of like grazed past it on something else, but I kind of feel like it's a big deal.
It's a very big deal. It could change our whole ecosystem, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, it has a lot to do with climate change because they were talking about the Amazon, the forest is responsible for like 20% of the oxygen.
Yeah, that's crazy. When I heard that, I was like, man, they need to really get down there. But a lot of people have theories is that they're trying to destroy the Amazon because it has lack of rich soil.
But why?
To start planting stuff they really can make useful.
Well, I heard that the fires were set so that they can take down some of the forestation to allow for like cattle to graze and stuff, because y'all gotta eat meat.
That's super weak. Like they shouldn't even be trying to change any of that. That's another.
But apparently they did it, but it was supposed to be like a contained situation, and then I don't know what happened to where it just got out of control.
Man tried to play God. And look what happened.
Yeah.
You know?
So
that's one thing they always say they try to do is contain the fire. Pretty sure it's not 100% the way that they do it.
Do you?
Like 75%.
Yeah, and so what do you think about? Because this has something to do with climate change. I have to read a little bit more about it to figure out exactly in detail how it impacts climate change. But the climate change does have to do with how bad these tropical storms and tornadoes and stuff are getting worse and worse. And I did watch a few YouTube videos on the candidates. They had each one of them had town halls in regards to what they would do as far as climate change. One of the people who lives in an impacted area was talking about, well, what would we do? Like, would y'all give us money to move to somewhere, I guess, more inland that wouldn't be impacted as much by these storms? So I mean, that's an idea, because if you're looking at like what happened with Hurricane Katrina, a lot of the people who were displaced due to the levees breaking, they were able to move them to some places more inland, like in Texas and Georgia and other places. But I mean, that's kind of like putting a band-aid on the problem right now. Like, at this point, is there any way for us to even reverse climate change?
I think so. I think we can, but I think it's like what they do with like HARP and things like that. I think that we can change the climate by doing man-made things like bombs and things like that, like nuclear bombs in certain places to like shield out the sunlight and have other places that supposed to be cold stay cold and things like that. But naturally.
What do you mean, like intentionally setting them off?
Yeah, like they already do.
Nuclear bombs have other impacts genetically on the people. I'm talking about.
They already do that at places though. That's what I'm saying. HARP already exists. It's just they do it for scientific experiments instead of actually changing the climate for us.
Well, how about you do it and then they'll physically be able to see your third eye?
No, I mean, I just don't think
your name gonna change from Top to Cyclops.
I just don't think that at the end of the day, naturally, it's too late. I think you're gonna have to do something like that to keep the ice caps.
Or are there things that I think from a world standpoint, we're not united enough to come together and say, hey, we're just gonna use these forms of energy, and we're just gonna do. Yeah,
it's so hot out here. It's like it's hot. It should not be this hot in Pennsylvania. Like it's like
people keep saying each summer that, oh, this is definitely not the heat that we experienced when we were kids. But I don't know.
It's not. But at the end of the day, it's too late. Like with it being this hot, you're gonna get like stuff catastrophically worse. Like the tornadoes are going to be way worse because of how much the air, the humidity, and everything is like just way stronger and aggressive. Like everything is just like worse. It is. Even like tsunamis are crazy. Like it's just it's I don't know. That sun, I don't know if we're closer to the sun or if we burned some of our ozone layer. Well, too much of the ozone layer. It's hot as hell out here.
Yeah, because I feel like the tropical storms and tropical storms and hurricanes that are happening now, the frequency of them being at a certain level.
It's crazy, right?
Like you didn't hear about them being as catastrophic
Katrina,
as they
how crazy
are now.
We thought Katrina was?
Right.
I thought we wasn't going to be seeing anything like that for the rest of our life.
Mm-hmm. And now, like last year, we had Hurricane Sandy, which devastated Puerto Rico.
That was crazy.
And did you like this hurricane now that's coming up the East Coast?
That
one, yeah. Did you see pictures of the Bahamas?
Yeah, yep. A little crazy.
Yeah. So I mean,
there was a lot of people that died too.
The last thing I saw on the news was 43.
43.
But even like when you look at pictures, it's not livable.
Not at all.
So, as a country, do you feel like, or from a world perspective, should there be an initiative by the United Nations or somebody to try to get these people moved so that they can have a better quality of life? And until things are able to be rebuilt.
So hard. I'm not talking from.
We're not saying bring everybody to the United States, but maybe there can be a joint effort to say, hey, we can take this many, y'all take this many, y'all take this many, until we're able to get things rebuilt. And then once we get things rebuilt, they'll be able to move back to their island.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. But that's the thing. It has to be temporary. Definitely agree with you on that. And it can actually be a good thing because it'll bring more... If you put them in the like little dead areas or dead towns, it could probably thrive. They could thrive to businesses in this town for a little bit of time, and then they could go back. The only thing is that it would have to be something that was nationally, or not nationally, internationally, really looked over, because a lot of times when these hurricanes are in these third world countries or in these islands, they drag their feet in rebuilding it. And
Like,
that's the thing.
Right, because if you look at Puerto Rico, aren't they still recovering?
Do the whole town do they even still have electricity? Like, a lot of them still don't have electricity.
That's the crazy thing about it is, given that they're a U.S. territory, I don't really feel like they give us enough news coverage to know what the progress is in Puerto Rico. So I feel like the mainland, like the people in the United States, we don't really know in detail what's actually going on there. Or
that should be whoever becomes president's first priority is to start treating Puerto Rico like it's part of the United States.
And but see, when it comes to like Puerto Rico and even like now the Bahamas, as a people, as a world, could we even get to a point where we could get on some sort of united front to come together and help all of these people? Like, you'll see individuals doing good deeds. Like, I saw that Tyler Perry sent a plane down there with supplies and stuff to help the Bahamian people. But on a world level, is there a way for us to come together and say, we're going to make sure these people get back on their feet? But then, due to climate change, do we want to rebuild? And then here comes another hurricane to tear everything back down. Are there structures that can be built to withstand that type of catastrophic weather pattern? Or you know what I mean?
It probably is, but it's probably the expensive ones that they can't afford. At the end of the day, they're going to have to rebuild because there's so much money in these islands. Like, just from tourism, the people that don't live on the islands make so much money, and they're counting on that money that they're going to rebuild. It's just that the people that's inland and this like part of that real culture, they're going to lose out a lot because they're going to drag their feet and rebuild in the inner cities and things like that. But I guarantee you those beachfronts and all those are going to be built ASAP.
Yep, and I think that the thing that kind of like saddens me is that there's enough money in the world to easily rebuild in this country, but like, can we be united enough to come up with a plan to do that?
I think you would just have to have the right people on top of the organization. It would have to be like a true, pure humanitarian and not a business person. That's how I look at it. Because there's going to be times where you're going to have to look at the budget for when it happens. Because sometimes it might be like 4 or 5 things in 1 month. Like, you might see 2 hurricanes, you might see a typhoon somewhere, you know what I mean? A tornado somewhere. And you're going to have to make those decisions. All right, well, we're going to have to move these people somewhere, so we're going to be in the red because we still got to repair something here, or rebuild here, and there. So there will be times where you won't have the money to rebuild, but you're going to have to find the money from somewhere else.
Yeah.
Because, like, that's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money, but I think that's the thing that annoys me when it comes to different things. They'll be like, oh, we don't have the money for that. There's enough money in the world. Just like when it comes
money,
to...
That's basically what they're saying is whose money. When they say we don't have money for that, whose money is what they're asking.
Like, even for things that are going on in the United States, like, you see how in our country there's certain things that are going on, like even when you talk about Andrew Yang and his universal basic income. I think he calls it something else now, but he's talking about even if you tax these companies according to how they should be taxed, there's so much money that we would get from that, and the company still would be doing very well even after they pay their fair share in taxes. Like, there's money out here, you know what I mean?
It's just they gotta close these loopholes that all these Fortune 500 companies are using.
Mm-hmm. Like, how come we're still having the conversation about universal health care? Like, that should be, I feel like it should be a no-brainer. Everybody should have access to health care regardless of what their
income is.
Right.
And it shouldn't matter about what hospital they go to, what doctor they want to see. All the doctors need to be getting paid. Mm-hmm. Everybody needs to be getting help. Mm-hmm. And because at this point, the doctor turned patients away if they anyway got the right insurance. Mm-hmm. So it's like, that shouldn't be allowed. And I don't want to see the doctor get screwed by not getting paid. Mm-hmm. So the insurance companies need to come to an agreement with these physicians that everybody needs to be there for the greater good, and we're going to make sure that your pockets still look the same in your bank account, so you don't have to worry about not getting paid.
Like, and then even pharmaceutical companies, like, why do other countries have laws in place to say, hey, you're not allowed to charge exorbitant amounts for these prescriptions that people need, but we just let them run amok and charge whatever? Like, I don't know. I guess I digress. I wanted to left field, but yeah, we need to come together as, I feel like we need to come together as a world, and maybe in the United Nations or something like that, and make sure that we have disaster relief funds and efforts to rebuild, like,
but I wonder
cities that are hit by catastrophes, because there is enough money. And also that'll create jobs for the locals too.
Sure. But I really want to know how many people that's on the United Nations board is really, like, pure.
Yeah.
And they ain't just getting money stuffed in their pockets.
Well, you know, with your president considers some countries as whole countries. I don't know if he would consider the Bahamas one of those as whole countries, but.
Well, wouldn't that be us?
Listen.
No, he's going to make sure. Well, he ain't going to be in office by the time they really rebuilt that. But, well,
so have you changed your mind?
What?
About him possibly getting reelected?
No, he's getting reelected. It just ain't going to be this time, but he's going to fix the problem. You don't think Trump's getting reelected?
I'm not saying I don't think it, but I'm not saying I want to.
I didn't even hear nobody popping the Democrat. Like, everything that you're talking about, even Andrew Yang. And, you know, I was like the first to vouch for Andrew Yang. That's my homie. He ain't winning nothing, though.
And see, the thing, right, and I really want to hope that Andrew Yang is some sort of dark horse that, like, because I feel like he has a lot of good ideas, and he's able to explain clearly and concisely what his plans are for any question you basically ask him, and he's not giving you the whole politician-y type answer. He's saying, hey, here's the problem. This is what's going to happen if we don't fix it, and here's my plan to fix this, right? So even we know when it comes to his main talking point is the universal basic income. Like, we know firsthand with different places that we've worked at that people's positions have been eliminated because of automation. There's certain lines of business that are able to be automated, and then you have to find that person another job within the company, or they're getting laid off with a severance and they're going to have to find a job somewhere else.
Here's my problem. My problem is the only person I feel like that could get Trump out of here, you need his endorsement, and Andrew Yang is not going to get his endorsement because he's preaching against him, and that's Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos, I feel like, is the only person who can get Trump out of here. So whoever gets his endorsement, I feel like he will pump enough money behind him to where that spotlight will be shown.
But doesn't Andrew Yang have the endorsement of Elon Musk?
Elon Musk, Elon Musk, I don't think cares anything about any of this. He's trying to get to Mars as soon as possible. Jeff Bezos, I feel like his whole thing right now is probably to take Trump down and bury him.
But see, I want to say that Jeff Bezos, Jeff Bezos, for him to build a company as big as Amazon, he would have to be a smart person. But I guess smart doesn't equal to looking out for the greater good of the whole people. Yeah. But I don't really feel like Andrew Yang is speaking against Jeff Bezos. What Andrew Yang is saying is, hey, people are not going to stop buying stuff. So we need to make big companies like yours pay their fair share, put money back into the pockets of the people. Because one thing about it is, as broke as I am or anybody else is, I'm still going to use Amazon. So
I understand that, but that's just like your boss coming to you and saying, hey, Jessica, I know that we pay you $2,500 a week, but listen here, you don't really need that to live off of. We could use that money in some other place. So we're only going to give you $22,000 a week instead of the $2,500 a week. You're going to be like, what?
What? Oh, so what you're saying is companies might be saying, well, I can pay you less because you get this $1,000 a month.
Yeah, so Jeff Bezos.
There need to be laws behind that.
But that's how Jeff Bezos is probably looking at it, like, nigga, shit is cool right now. Like, you're not going to tax us more. Like, no.
It's cool for him.
Yeah, it's cool for me. And people love my products. I got 5 stars on my site.
It is, but if you really take the time to listen to Andrew Yang, he's like, okay, trickle down economics don't work. So we can try a different method and say it's trickle up. So if you're giving me this $1,000 a month, whether I'm saving it to put away for my daughter to go to college, which I don't feel a lot of people will do, especially people who are in survival mode. Right. If people are in survival mode, they're still thinking about themselves and they're still
I think
spending money on different things. But at the same time, if you notice, a lot of people who are in survival mode, they will spend more money on things that don't matter.
No, I think there will be more people in prison. I think a lot of people will be using that $1,000 and trying to flip it somehow, some way, illegally.
Maybe, but then you'll get people like me who might order more things off Amazon. I get excited seeing an Amazon box on my porch.
Or you might get that thing to give you that IOU, $300 out of their $1,000 check. You're telling you, man, people.
What, like how food stamps are?
Yeah, like here, you give me $150 worth of work right now. I'm gonna give you $300 when my check comes. Andrew Yang said the check will be here on Wednesday.
Yeah.
I don't have no lie, especially where we're from. But I don't think it's a big issue. I just feel like even though Jeff Bezos ain't in survival mode, they still think like they're in survival mode.
I don't believe that.
Huh?
I don't believe that.
I think so. I think that in order to be that successful, you need to always be an animal.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily survival mode. Because you can't get to that level of success thinking with a survival mode mentality.
I think he thinks for the greater good of the company, not the greater good of the people.
Okay. So go ahead and pay your fair share.
He ain't thinking about that. He's going to vote for somebody who ain't talking.
Which, if you notice, a lot of the people who are running are talking about him paying his fair share in taxes. So this is not a concept that's exclusive to Andrew Yang. So regardless, most people are talking about taxing you.
Ain't nobody getting any shine. There ain't nobody putting their money behind them. Who what's your boy? Did your boy talk about that? Biden? Joe Biden?
You know what? I haven't really been following Joe Biden, and I'm gonna tell you, I think I mentioned this in a recording before, but I kind of feel like he's taken the Hillary Clinton path, and that's really not working out well. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying.
It almost feels like right now, maybe him and other people at this point look at him like he's a shoo-in, so he don't really have to maybe work as hard as the other candidates, maybe.
A lot of these candidates don't seem too genuine.
Because I feel like everybody felt like Hillary Clinton had it in the bag, right? Until she didn't. You know what I mean? There was no way on the morning after election that I would have ever thought that I would wake up to see Donald Trump being president.
Not Donald Trump. Donald Trump. He might be the man of the century for pulling that one off.
Yeah.
That's like a whoa, wow.
Even he was surprised.
Everybody was surprised. Like, when I'm looking at the stuff coming in, I'm not understanding how is he winning. He doesn't have more votes. Oh, okay, that's why he's super dope. Oh, okay. Then it gets down to him and Hillary. It's like, what? What's going on here? Who should I vote for? Okay, Hillary's getting my vote. Hopefully everybody feels the same way I am. Just you gotta give her your vote.
What did you hear about different states trying to put laws in place to get around the electoral college, like making it mandatory for whoever is their electoral college vote? You have to vote according to the popular vote.
Oh, okay. That's terrible.
So.
That's terrible. They shouldn't have to do that.
What you mean? I feel like they should.
They should have to put a law in. It shouldn't.
Oh, yeah. You feel like that should be a given.
Yeah, like
yeah.
But because you would have thought they would have cleared it up. Who was that? Was that George Bush when that stuff happened down there in Florida?
Yeah.
You would have thought they'd have started clearing up all that vote and stuff. There.
And what a coincidence! It happened in the state where your brother is the governor.
That's why. But I'm trying to tell you, even when I went to Florida, man, they love them down there. I remember when what was it? Bush was about to who was it? Jeb Bush was about to run. They was acting like he was about to win. If you was listening to the news down there, then I get back up here, they talk about he about to.
What nobody think about Jeb Bush?
Yeah, he about to drop out the race.
I think given the track record of how his brother handled everything, people were like over the Bushes, kind of similar to. Well, no, a lot of people were over the Clintons too, so I think that factored into people just having voter apathy and not.
It just be crazy because people be sick and tired of the person after 8 years. Because people was kind of sick and tired of Obama too. It was ready for something new. Because you could start to hear the backlash how people, even in the black communities, was talking about Obama ain't doing that.
Yeah, I think that in both elections, I did vote for him, but I feel like I voted for him for two different reasons for each election. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, but hindsight is 20/20, and I bet you they wouldn't have them complaints.
Look,
no, we know now.
People was like, even Bush don't look so bad now.
Listen, I know, boy, he's happy.
He just got that 9/11 stand.
Like, look, everybody, look, I'm good. Everybody that forgot about how horrible I was, and everybody think me and Michelle Obama's best friends.
I swear. I think if George Bush didn't have that 9/11 stain, and his dad being George Bush, people would have forgot about him. That 9/11 stain, you can't get over that. Mm-hmm. That's almost like Watergate and Nixon.
No, it's not.
It is.
With Trump, what's happening with Trump is like Watergate and Nixon.
Well, everybody keeps saying. See, I wasn't alive for Nixon, but everybody keeps saying he's the worst president ever.
Until this one.
Yeah.
It would
have to be now, but
now the news sources are saying, oh yeah, Trump is definitely
it would have to be like
ultimate
he's
worst.
It's like a comedy in there, like
yeah.
And then it's like when the serious stuff, it's like even the serious stuff is like with the detention centers and stuff like that. It's like, how can't you see this ain't humane?
Right, and I feel like I tune out from it because it is so reality show like, and he is doing and saying anything. But I have to bring myself back to say, hey, this is not a show. This is our
lives.
Then
you see the other sides to where people's lives are being affected by the decisions that's careless. Mm-hmm. Like, it's funny when it's like little stupid stuff, like when he might mispronounce somebody's name or like butt into something that he don't know what he's talking about. That stuff.
Or call Elizabeth Warren Pocahontas.
Oh man. What's up with my girl Nancy Pelosi, man? I wish she was running.
I don't know. Like, I told you before that I've gotten so sick of them that I've kind of like just tuned out. I haven't really been, until I watched a few of those town halls a couple of days ago on climate change, I really haven't been looking at anything as far as politics, because people on both sides are ticking me off. I feel like we should have been started impeachment proceedings on the current president. Like, it's just.
Did Al Gore ever say what the reason why he never ran for president? I mean, why he's not running for president now?
I don't know.
Because a lot of that stuff that he was talking about back then,
as far as climate change,
like we're taking serious now. Like I don't understand why he didn't run after like everybody. But I think he might just be comfortable where he at. A lot of people don't like to play those games after, just like Obama. Like, I'm cool. I seen that new mansion they just bought.
Sick.
Crazy.
I'll have to take a look at that.
But, yeah, I don't know. I still got Trump winning. I bet on Trump right now. That don't mean I'm voting for him, but I just feel like right now, these Democrats, there's nobody with a full head of steam.
So, I mean, you ready to wrap this thing up? You have any final thoughts?
No, I do. You see, the O.P.O.V t-shirts. You guys can order them through us. Feel free.
Not yet. Not yet.
All right.
But we'll have to keep them posted.
All right. Well, I guess we'll keep you guys posted.
But you will be able to order them soon.
All right.
Promise. Look at that t-shirt. Isn't it nice?
It's all right.
I like my black one better though. But I digress. Anyway, thank you guys for watching the O.P.O.V podcast. And for those of you who are listening through the streaming service, thank you for listening. You guys have a wonderful day.
Like and subscribe.
On YouTube, like and subscribe. Thanks, guys.
You can't like and subscribe on Spotify?
Oh, I guess you can subscribe on Spotify, Apple, Google, iHeart.
Google, they try to tax you. Andrew ain't trying to tax you, Google. What you gonna do?
You know what, guys?
What you gonna do, Google?
All right, guys. Bye.